This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today, with only about 3 more days left in Noirvember as of this recording, I thought we'd squeeze in one more film, and why not end with one that many regard as an essential film noir? Let's check it out. Today's film is Force of Evil from 1948, a brisk 79 minutes long in beautiful black and white. This is about an unethical lawyer who wants to help his older, reluctant brother get involved in a large-scale numbers racket in New York City. Now, on this disc, there's an introduction by director Martin Scorsese, who says that he considers this an essential film noir and was a major influence on his work, especially the films Mean Streets and Raging Bull. So when I heard this was coming out on Blu-ray, I was really expecting a lot. I was really looking forward to it, and it showed up. And I gotta say, I was disappointed. I know that's blasphemy, but I'm just telling you, this is my reaction to it. And I think the main reason why I was disappointed was it's all about the numbers racket, and I have no idea what that is. The film sort of assumes you know what the numbers racket is. I'd heard the term before, but that's about it. There's a little explanation given at the beginning, but it's gone over very quickly and over only once. So I felt a little bit lost as to what was happening with them throwing the numbers in a crooked way, and banks were going to fail, and these crooks were going to take over the banks and loan money, all the machinations of what they were up to. I really wasn't comprehending that well. I'm not a real math guy, but still, I wasn't comprehending what exactly was happening. There's a lot of slang and terminology involved as well, which made me think of On the Waterfront. Now, On the Waterfront is a film I used in my high school film class several times. I consider that a 5-star film. But when I would introduce that film, I would give the students 2 pages of slang from that film, so they could kind of guess what the slang meant, and then we would talk about the slang so that when they watched On the Waterfront, they would understand exactly what was happening and what a cheese eater is, and various other terms in that film. So yeah, it reminded me of On the Waterfront in other ways as well. Both those films, On the Waterfront and Force of Evil, have 2 brothers who are at odds with each other but also loyal to each other. Both films have one brother who's more educated but also involved with crooks. And both films have the bad brother who's attracted to the good girl. Now, On the Waterfront had some connections to the Hollywood blacklisting of the time, mainly due to the director Elia Kazan and some of the themes in On the Waterfront. And those connections show up in Force of Evil as well. Abraham Polanski wrote the screenplay for this, and he directed it. It was his first feature, and many consider this film an allegory or a criticism of capitalism in America, and also Wall Street as well, which is almost a character in this film, all kind of looming in the background all the time. And this is just one of many reasons why Polanski was blacklisted and didn't make another film for decades. The other connection here to the blacklist is the star, John Garfield. He was also blacklisted, and he stars as the lawyer, the main character, and he was coming off the huge success of Body and Soul right before this film, which Polanski also wrote. But this film, I didn't really care for Garfield's character. He was loyal and protective of his brother, but he's arrogant, he's aggressive, fast-talking, overconfident. I found him really unlikable. And yes, I know a lot of film noirs have unlikable main characters, but he was just grating to me, and I wasn't that crazy about his character. I wasn't that crazy about his performance, to be honest. However, I did think the standout in Force of Evil was a performance by Thomas Gomez. He plays the older brother to Garfield, and he just steals every scene, every time he's on screen. He's a vulnerable yet a tough guy, very loyal to his workers, much more honest, and he's a little overweight, so he's always kind of sweaty and nervous about what's going on. He's got a bad heart, but great performance by him. And he was also in Ride the Pink Horse and in Key Largo. Another standout here is someone who's in many film noirs, Marie Windsor. She also steals every scene she's in, and she's sort of a femme fatale here, but it's really not developed that much. She's only in like maybe 2 or 3 scenes, so I really wanted to see more of her because she's so interesting on the screen. She's been in several noirs, including The Narrow Margin, and The City That Never Sleeps, and The Killing. There are several noir elements in Force of Evil. The visual style I felt was just sort of only occasionally present for maybe the first 2/3 of the film, but really gets ramped up, and the action gets ramped up in the last 20 minutes. I think that's where the film really shines. The usual themes are there: gangsters, corruption, we have killings, we have a good minor characters showing up here. It's a little bit talky, but the dialogue is very strong, very stylized, almost poetic, and very downbeat about life and fate. And Garfield himself does the voiceover periodically throughout this film. So my rating for Force of Evil, I'm going to have to give it only 3 phones out of 5. Why phones, you ask? There's a thing with the phones in here that are very important. I won't give it away. Because I like the Thomas Gomez performance. I like some of the visuals and some of the dialogue, but overall, it's not my favorite, even though many people cite it as one of the best ones ever. So there we go. So what's on this disc? This is a Kino disc. It has some reversible artwork, which I did switch around because I like the original artwork instead of the new artwork. And it has that Scorsese introduction I mentioned, which is only about 3.5 minutes long and is also fairly old. There's also a commentary track by the great writer Imogen Sarah Smith, which I actually did listen to, but only the first 15 minutes or so after I watched the film, because I wanted to get more clarification about what the numbers racket is, and she kind of explains it, so I had a better idea what it all meant. So where can you see Force of Evil? Well, I don't see it streaming anywhere, so you can rent it, you can buy it, you can try your local library. I did get this at the Kino sale. It was $9.99, so if you want to wait for that, you can get it at a low price. Otherwise, there we are with Force of Evil. Feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down below. I'd like to thank the following people who've left comments on various episodes since our last episode. That includes Squabblebox, Martin S., Chris, Martin, Tina, Joe, Diod, Eve, Heart Jake Hotel, Billy, Elliot, QDP, SCG, and Kevin. Thank you so much for taking the time to comment. Really appreciate to know there's people out there liking what's going on here on this channel. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. I am happy to report we've passed our goal of 700 subscribers. Let's keep going to 725, our new goal for subscribers. And welcome to our newest subscriber since our last episode. That includes Martin S., Caesar, Calm Carolyn, and Jerry, another Jerry out there. So thank you for subscribing. Subscribing is free. Also free is we're on the Letterboxd app under the Kazdoy Closet. There's a link in the notes down below. That's where we leave brief written reviews of other things we're watching that we don't talk about here. Most recently, we left a brief reviews of Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain, A Woman Kills, and Albert Brooks, Defending My Life. So check those out if you'd like to. And otherwise, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.